Hey there, my friend. Welcome back to our English pod. I'm so glad you're here. I'm Lisa, and today, we're diving into something really special. Something that every English learner struggles with at some point. Have you ever been in a conversation where someone's speaking English and your brain is just racing? You're trying to translate every word in your head, and by the time you think of the right answer, it's already too late. The moment is gone. You freeze. You feel frustrated, maybe even embarrassed. I've been there too. In today's episode, I want to tell you how I stopped doing that, how I stopped translating in my head, and finally started thinking in English. And I promise, I'm not going to throw grammar rules or textbook tricks at you. What I'm going to share today is real, it's practical, and it's based on my own journey. All the mistakes, the awkward conversations, the quiet victories, and the habits that helped me make the switch. So, if you're someone who dreams of speaking English more naturally, without second-guessing every word, then this episode is for you. We'll go step by step. I'll share stories, strategies, and even some fun mini challenges along the way. So grab your notebook, grab a coffee, or just sit back and listen. Because today, we're learning how to train your brain to think in English, clearly, confidently, and naturally. You ready? Let's get into it. All right. So, before we talk about how to stop translating in your head, we need to talk about why it happens in the first place. Because you're not alone. This is probably the most common challenge I hear from English learners. You're trying to speak, but in your mind, it's like there's a two-step process happening. First, you think of the sentence in your native language. Then you try to convert it into English. And by the time the English version is ready, it's too late. The moment's passed. Someone else is talking. Or worse, you just stay silent. Sound familiar? Let me tell you why this happens. It's not because you're not smart. It's not because you're bad at English. It's because you were trained to learn English like a subject, not like a language. Think back to your school days. How did you learn English? Probably from a textbook, right? You memorized vocabulary lists, grammar rules, and filled in the blanks. You translated sentences. Maybe you even got good grades doing it. But that kind of learning doesn't train your brain to think in English. It trains you to compare, to pause, to check if your English is correct. And in real-life conversations, that pause is deadly. That overthinking leads to fear, hesitation, and a lack of confidence. So the real problem? We've practiced thinking in our own language about English, instead of thinking in English itself. And I get it. It's scary to let go of the safety net of translation. It feels like walking a tightrope without a harness. But here's the truth. The moment you let go of perfection, the moment you stop translating, that's when fluency starts to grow. I know this because I lived it. And in the next chapter, I'll tell you about the exact moment I realized I had to change everything. The moment I decided, no more translating. From now on, I'm thinking in English. I still remember the exact moment everything changed. It was a summer afternoon, hot, loud, and a little chaotic. I was sitting at a cafe in my city, waiting to meet a tourist who had contacted me through a language exchange app. They were visiting from Canada and wanted to practice the local language, while I would practice my English. I thought, perfect. I've studied English for years. I'll impress them. I'm ready. I wasn't ready. As soon as we sat down and the conversation started, it hit me like a wave. Fast English, natural English, words blending together, slang, questions I wasn't prepared for. They smiled and asked, "So, what do you usually do on weekends?" And I froze. Not because I didn't know the words. I knew them. I knew I usually go to the market, or I hang out with friends. But instead, my brain was busy translating. Okay, in my language, I would say this. Now, how do I say that in English? Pause, panic, embarrassment. By the time I opened my mouth, they had already moved on to another topic. I nodded. I smiled. I pretended to understand. But inside, I was frustrated. I felt like a failure. I had spent so many months, maybe years, reading grammar books, watching videos, making vocabulary flashcards. And yet, when it really mattered, I couldn't speak. Not fluently, not naturally, not like I thought I could. And here's the part I want to share with you. The part that changed my life. After that meeting, I went home, stood in front of my bathroom mirror, looked at myself, and said out loud, in English, "This isn't working. I have to stop learning English like a subject. I have to start living it. I have to stop translating in my head and start thinking in English." That one sentence, that one decision, changed everything. From that day, I started doing things differently. I focused on listening. I shadowed native speakers. I talked to myself. I stopped worrying about being perfect. And I started aiming for real. And slowly, day by day, something amazing happened. I stopped needing to translate. I started understanding more. Faster. Words came to my mouth without effort. And I started enjoying English instead of fearing it. That moment at the cafe, that little failure, it became my turning point. The day I stopped studying and started speaking. So, let me ask you this. What's been your turning point? Or maybe this podcast, this moment, could be yours. Because in the next chapter, I'm going to walk you through the exact mindset I adopted that helped me stop translating and start thinking in English every single day. Are you ready? Let's go deeper. All right, so after that moment in the cafe, when I realized I was stuck translating instead of thinking in English, I knew something had to change. And the first thing I changed wasn't my vocabulary list. It wasn't a new textbook. It was my mindset. I stopped seeing myself as a student of English and started seeing myself as a speaker of English. Now I know that might sound like a small thing, but it's huge. You see, for years I had identified as someone who was learning English. Always learning, always preparing, always getting ready, but never using it like it was already part of me. Let me ask you something. Have you ever felt like you know so much English, but when it's time to speak, your brain still says, wait, I'm not ready yet? That's the student mindset. And I had it too. But one day I asked myself, what if I just decided, I speak English? Not perfectly, not like a native, but enough to be part of this language, enough to live in it, think in it, speak in it. So I started talking to myself, not as a student practicing grammar, but as a person communicating thoughts. I didn't say, today I will practice present perfect. I said, today was a good day. I've finished my work, and now I'm relaxing. I didn't think, what's the translation for this word? I thought, what would I say if I were speaking with a friend right now? In English. And I made a decision. No more pausing to translate. No more checking Google every 30 seconds. I'd trust what I already knew. If I didn't know the exact word, I'd explain it another way. If I made mistakes, I'd correct them later, but not in the middle of speaking. Because real communication isn't perfect. It's real. And something amazing started to happen. When I embraced this new mindset, the mindset of a speaker, not a student, my brain started adapting. Words flowed faster. I stopped getting stuck. And most importantly, I started enjoying speaking. It's like something inside me said, "Finally, you gave yourself permission to speak freely." So if you've been studying English for years and you still feel like you're not ready, maybe it's not your vocabulary, maybe it's not your grammar, maybe it's your mindset. You're not just a learner, you're a speaker. And from this point on, I want you to act like it, talk like it, think like it. Even if no one's listening, you are. So here's your mindset challenge for today. I want you to say this out loud, right now, wherever you are. I speak English. I'm not perfect, but I am fluent enough to grow. Say it again. Let it become your new identity. Because in the next chapter, we're going to break down exactly how I started thinking in English, step by step, using daily life. Ready? Let's keep going. All right. Now that you've taken that first mental step, seeing yourself as an English speaker, let's talk about what I actually did every day to train my brain to think in English instead of translating from my native language. These weren't complicated techniques. They didn't take hours, but they were powerful because I did them every single day. Let me share the exact daily habits that changed everything for me. Habit 1. Narrate your day in English. The moment I woke up, I started thinking out loud in English. Simple things. I'm brushing my teeth. I'm making coffee. I'm checking my messages. It might sound silly, but it works like magic. Why? Because you're connecting your thoughts to the language. You're creating a direct path between your brain and your mouth. No translation needed. At first, I had to pause. I'd forget a word, or I'd say it in my own language. But day by day, it got easier. Soon, I didn't have to remind myself. It became natural. And here's the tip. If you're too shy to speak out loud, whisper, or just think the sentence in your head. But don't let the moment pass without practicing. You know those tiny choices you make all day? What should I wear? What do I want to eat? Should I go for a walk? I trained myself to ask and answer those questions in English. Instead of thinking, I'm tired. Maybe I'll eat later. I would say, I'm feeling a little tired. I'll eat in 20 minutes. This is powerful because these are your real thoughts, not sentences from a textbook. They're yours. You're living your day in English, not just studying it. This one changed the game. I set 3 alarms on my phone every day, morning, afternoon, evening, and each one had the same label. Think in English for 5 minutes. No matter what I was doing, I'd stop, breathe, and start thinking about whatever was on my mind. In English. Sometimes I'd think about my plans for the day. Other times I'd reflect. What did I do today? What went well? And yes, I'd talk to myself while walking around the house. I need to clean the kitchen. I forgot to reply to that email. Little things, but they add up. That's what fluency is. Automatic English thinking. I started a digital journal. Every night I wrote 1 paragraph in English. Not perfect, not edited, just honest. Something like, today was a tough day. I argued with a friend. I feel bad about it. Or, I tried a new recipe today. It didn't work, but it was fun. This habit helped me build vocabulary, improve grammar naturally, and, most importantly, express real emotions in English. And when you can feel things in English, that's when you stop translating. These habits might sound small, but they changed everything for me. They trained my brain to make English part of my world, not just a subject I studied. And now I want to ask you something. Which of these habits will you try starting today? Even if you just do one and stick with it for a week, you'll feel the shift. Because fluency doesn't come from what you memorize. It comes from what you live. All right, let's get real for a moment. Because my journey to thinking in English wasn't perfect. Far from it. And honestly, it shouldn't be. Because the biggest breakthroughs didn't come when I got things right. They came when I messed up and learned from it. So in this chapter, I want to share the top mistakes I made on this journey and how those mistakes actually helped me stop translating in my head and finally trust myself in English. Mistake 1. Waiting until I felt ready to speak. Oh, this one held me back for months. I told myself, I need to study more. I'll speak when I'm more confident. I'm not fluent enough yet. But you know what happened? Nothing. Because I kept studying, but I wasn't speaking. And the longer I waited, the harder it became. Then one day, I had a conversation with a tourist in my city. And it didn't go perfectly. I paused a lot. I forgot words. But you know what? I survived. We laughed. We connected. That day, I realized you don't wait for confidence. You build it by doing the scary thing. So if you've been waiting to feel ready, this is your sign. Start before you're ready. Speak anyway. Mistake 2. Trying to translate. Word for word. I remember trying to explain a simple idea. I left my umbrella on the train, but in my head I tried to build the sentence like I would in my own language. It came out all wrong. Why? Because English doesn't work the same way. Different structure, different rhythm, different logic. And that's when I realized translation is not communication. So I started focusing on ideas, not words. Instead of translating, I feel like going for a walk, I pictured myself walking and said it naturally. I kind of feel like going out for a walk. That switch, from word to feeling, changed everything. Mistake 3. Obsessing over grammar while speaking. This one is so common. You're trying to say something simple, like, I've been studying English for 3 years. But instead of speaking, you're thinking, wait, is it I have studied? Or I have been studying? Do I need a preposition here? What's the rule again? By the time you finish analyzing, the moment is gone. What helped me? Letting go of perfect grammar, especially in conversation. I reminded myself, my goal is to connect, not to impress. And you know what? People understood me. They cared about what I was saying, not whether my verb tense was perfect. So if you're making these mistakes, I get it. I made them too, and I still make them sometimes. But now, I see those mistakes as part of the process. They taught me to stop translating, to trust my instincts, to speak from the heart, even if it's messy. Because fluency is not about being perfect. It's about being present in the language. Now, I want you to ask yourself, what's one mistake that's been holding you back? And more importantly, what's one lesson that mistake can teach you today? Write it down. Say it out loud. Make it part of your journey. And keep going. I want to take you back to a moment that changed everything for me. It wasn't during an exam. It wasn't during a lesson. It wasn't even during a conversation. No. This moment happened in the most ordinary place, right in front of my bathroom mirror, while brushing my teeth. Yeah, that's how quiet transformation can be. It was just a normal day. I'd woken up, still sleepy, barely thinking clearly. I grabbed my toothbrush, added toothpaste, and started brushing, just like any other morning. And that's when it happened. Somewhere in the background of my thoughts, I heard my own voice say, "Ugh, I forgot to do the laundry last night." Now, here's the part that matters. I said it in English, without trying, without translating. And I stopped. I literally froze, toothbrush still in my mouth, staring into the mirror like, wait, what just happened? It took me a few seconds to process it. I hadn't planned to think in English. I didn't try to switch from my native language. It just came out that way, naturally, effortlessly. That moment, that tiny little sentence, that was the moment I realized I was no longer just studying English. I was thinking in English. And let me tell you something. That one moment meant more to me than any grammar rule I ever learned, because it showed me I had crossed over. I wasn't on the outside of the language anymore. I was inside it. And guess what? That can happen to you too. But it doesn't come from textbooks. It doesn't come from memorizing 500 verbs in one day. It comes from consistent, real exposure to English. Let me break that down. The reason I could think in English that morning wasn't because I was smarter. It was because, day after day, I had trained my brain like a muscle, by listening to podcasts while cooking, by repeating YouTube sentences out loud, by talking to myself in the shower, by watching vlogs without subtitles, by practicing every single day, even if it was just 5 minutes. My brain had started to recognize patterns, rhythm, structure, and over time, English didn't feel like a second language. It started to feel like a natural language. Mine. Now, I want you to ask yourself something. Have you ever had a thought in English without planning it? It might be a small sentence like, I need to buy some eggs. Where's my phone? I'm tired. If that's happened to you, even once, that's your breakthrough. Celebrate it. 'Cause that's the beginning of fluency. It doesn't look like a certificate. It looks like simple thoughts happening in English. And if it hasn't happened yet, don't worry, 'cause I'm going to walk you through how to make it happen. In the next chapter, I'll share the exact daily routine that helped me train my brain to switch from translating to thinking in English. You can start with just 10 minutes a day. No teacher, no pressure, no perfection. Just your voice, your mind, and your habit. You ready for that? Let's keep going. All right, this is the part most people ask me about. How did you train your brain to think in English? And I'll be honest, it didn't happen overnight. But what made it possible? A simple, consistent morning routine. Yeah, I'm not talking about studying for 5 hours. I'm talking about 10 to 20 minutes a day, done with purpose. Let me walk you through exactly what I did, step by step, every morning to rewire my brain for English thinking. Step 1. Start the day with English input. The first thing I did, even before I got out of bed, was listen to English. Not grammar lessons, not scripted textbooks, real voices, real people. I used my headphones and opened a YouTube vlog or a podcast. Sometimes it was just someone talking about their day, like, here's what I did yesterday, or let's go grocery shopping together. Why? Because that's how people naturally speak. That's what I wanted my brain to hear. Even just 10 minutes in the morning started to tune my ears to the rhythm of English. Step 2. Narrate my actions. Out loud. Next, I'd start narrating my actions. Yes, I'd literally talk to myself like a little English commentator. I'd say things like, okay, I'm brushing my teeth. Now I'm making coffee. I'll add some milk. I think I'll check my emails after this. Sounds simple, right? But this is powerful, because now I'm not just thinking in English. I'm living in English. No one's grading me. No one's correcting me. It's just me and my voice, getting more comfortable. And honestly, it helped build my speaking confidence faster than anything else. Step 3. One phrase. Deep practice. Every day, I'd choose one natural phrase from what I listened to earlier. Something like, I'm not really sure. That makes sense. I'm running late. Let's figure it out. And I'd repeat it 10 times. I'd whisper it. I'd say it fast. I'd say it with emotion. I'd even build my own sentences with it. I'm not really sure if I want to go. That makes sense to me now. Let's figure it out together. Why this step? Because it turns passive input into active language. You don't need 100 new words a day. You need one phrase used correctly, naturally, and confidently. Step 4. Write one paragraph. No rules, just flow. The last part of my routine? I'd open my notes app or a small notebook and just write a paragraph in English. What about? Anything. What I dreamed about. What I planned to do. What I was thinking. There were no grammar rules, no pressure. It was just brain to paper, in English. Some days it was short. Some days it was messy. But every time it got easier. And here's the magic. The more I wrote what I was thinking, the more I started thinking what I was writing. That routine, 4 small steps, changed how my brain worked. It trained me to start each day in English. It gave me confidence. It gave me fluency. It gave me results. And now I challenge you to try it. Just once, tomorrow morning. 10 minutes of listening. 5 minutes of narrating. 1 phrase. 10 repetitions. 1 paragraph. No rules. That's it. It's your first step toward thinking in English, without even realizing it. You ready? Because in the next chapter, we're diving into how to break free from mental translation. For good. Let's go. All right. Let's take a deep breath and dive into one of the biggest obstacles English learners face, and something I personally struggled with for a long time: translating in my head. Now, let me ask you something. Have you ever been in a conversation, and instead of just responding naturally, your brain gets stuck? You hear someone say something in English, and instead of understanding it directly, you start silently translating it into your native language. Then when it's your turn to reply, you translate your answer back into English, and by the time you're ready to speak, the moment has passed. The other person is waiting. You feel frozen. Yeah, I've been there too, and I know it doesn't feel good. I'll never forget the first time I tried ordering food in English. I walked into a cafe in a touristy area. The woman behind the counter smiled and said, "What can I get for you today?" It was such a simple question, but my brain started doing this. What can I get for you? Okay, so now I should say, I want 1 sandwich. Wait, maybe that's too direct. Maybe I should say, I would like. And while all of that was happening in my head, the woman was standing there, waiting, smiling politely. I panicked. I ended up saying something like, I want 1 sandwich. Give me, please. She was kind, but I felt embarrassed. I walked out feeling defeated. And that's when I realized something. I didn't have a grammar problem. I didn't have a vocabulary problem. I had a thinking problem. I was living in translation mode, and that's what was holding me back. So how did I fix it? Let me share the exact steps I used to stop translating in my head and finally start thinking in English. It didn't happen overnight, but with daily practice and a few smart habits, everything changed. Tip number 1. Keep it simple on purpose. Let's start here. One of the biggest reasons we translate is because we think we have to speak like a textbook. We believe we need to use perfect grammar, fancy words, complex sentences. So we start thinking, how do I say this politely? Which tense should I use? What's the correct word? But native speakers don't talk like textbooks. They say things like, I'm good. Sounds great. No worries. You got it. Not a problem. So the first thing I did was this. I gave myself permission to use simple English. I stopped trying to be perfect. Instead of saying, I am not available at the moment. I apologize for the inconvenience. I just said, sorry, I'm busy right now. It was a small shift, but it made a huge difference. When you keep it simple, you don't need to translate, because the words are already part of you. Tip number 2, think in pictures, not words. This changed everything for me. Instead of hearing English and immediately searching for a translation, I trained my brain to connect English directly to images, feelings, experiences. Let me show you how. If someone says, I'm starving, I don't think. I picture someone with an empty stomach, holding their belly, looking for food. If someone says, it's freezing outside, I don't translate the word freezing anymore. I feel it, like cold air on my skin. That's what fluency looks like. English in, meaning out. No detour, no translation. This takes time. But the more you practice, the faster it happens. Tip number 3, practice with speed. Now here's a fun trick that helped me a lot. Practice speaking fast, even if it's messy. Why? Because when you speak fast, your brain doesn't have time to translate. It's forced to think in English. So here's what I did. I gave myself 30 seconds. I chose a topic, like my morning routine, and I spoke out loud, without stopping, without correcting, and without translating. It sounded like this. Okay, I wake up at 6. I brush my teeth. I make coffee. Then I check my phone. After that, I go to work. Some sentences were wrong. Some words were missing. But I was thinking in English. And that's the goal. Try it yourself. Right after this episode. Pick a topic. Set a timer. And go. Tip number 4. Talk to yourself. A lot now. I know this might sound strange, but trust me, talking to yourself is one of the fastest ways to start thinking in English, and it's completely free. I used to narrate everything I was doing, like this. Okay, I'm walking to the bus stop. I forgot my umbrella. Great. It looks like it's going to rain today. Let me check my messages. No one heard me. No one judged me. But every day, my English thinking got stronger. It started to feel natural. And guess what? When I had to speak with real people, my brain didn't freeze. Because I had already practiced that thinking flow alone. So listen. If you catch yourself translating in your head, that's okay. It just means your brain is still using the old road. But now you're building a new one. It's slower at first. But with every sentence, every thought, every tiny moment of practice, that road becomes faster, smoother, more automatic. One day, you'll be in a conversation and suddenly realize, wait, I didn't translate that. I just understood it. And that's the day you know You're not just studying English anymore. You're living it. Chapter 10. Using movies and podcasts to think in English naturally. All right, so now that we've talked about breaking the habit of translating in your head, let's dive into one of my absolute favorite tools that helped me think in English faster than I ever imagined: movies and podcasts. Yes, I know. Everyone says, watch English movies, listen to podcasts. But let's be real. Just watching a movie isn't enough. It's how you use it that makes the difference. So in this chapter, I'm going to walk you through exactly how I used movies, series, and podcasts to train my brain to think in English, naturally, effortlessly, and even emotionally. When I first started, I used to watch shows like Friends, The Office, or Modern Family. But here's the mistake I made at first. I'd turn on the subtitles in my language, and guess what? My eyes were reading faster than my ears could listen. So I wasn't really learning English. I was just reading a translated version of it. So here's what I changed. I began watching with English subtitles only. And at first, it was hard. Really hard. I didn't understand everything. I paused a lot. But then I noticed something surprising. There were phrases I heard again and again. Are you kidding me? Come on, let's go. That's not what I meant. You've got to be kidding. These weren't in my textbooks, but they were real. And they stuck in my head. The best part? I didn't have to translate them anymore. Because I saw them. I heard them. I felt them. That's how real English becomes part of you. Now let me give you a simple 3-step method I used every night before bed. I call it watch, pause, speak. Step 1. Choose a short clip, maybe 1 or 2 minutes from a show or movie. Step 2. Watch it with English subtitles on. Step 3. Pause after each sentence. Then repeat what the character said, with the same tone, rhythm, and feeling. It's like you're acting. You're being the character. And guess what? That trains your mouth, your brain, and your ears to think in English like a native speaker. And if you're more of a listener, maybe on the bus or during a walk, podcasts are gold. Start with English learning podcasts. You're listening to one right now. Then move on to real interviews, shows like The Daily, BBC Learning English, or TED Talks Daily. Start with slow speed audio if you need to. Use apps like Spotify or YouTube to adjust playback speed. But here's the trick. Don't try to understand every word. Instead, ask yourself, what's the main idea here? What's the speaker feeling? Which words keep repeating? That's how you train your brain to think in English, with context, not with a dictionary. Let me share something personal. I used to listen to English podcasts every night while doing dishes. It became my habit, just 15 to 20 minutes a day. At first, I didn't understand much, but after 2 weeks, I started hearing familiar phrases again and again. After 1 month, I could predict what the host was going to say. That's when I knew. I was thinking in English, not because I forced it, but because I was listening, every single day. So, my friend, if you're serious about thinking in English, make movies and podcasts your best friends. Watch with purpose. Listen with emotion. Pause. Repeat. Speak. Make it fun. Make it a habit. And soon, English won't feel like a foreign language. It'll feel like your second voice. Chapter 11. Training your thoughts in English, even when you're alone. So, here's something most people don't talk about when it comes to learning English: your inner voice. You know, that voice in your head that talks all day long? Yup, that one. Now let me ask you, When you're walking to the store, or making tea, or thinking about tomorrow's to-do list, what language is that voice speaking? For most learners, it's their native language. And here's the secret that changed everything for me. The moment I started talking to myself in English, inside my mind, my fluency improved like crazy. Not because I learned new words, but because I started thinking in English. Every hour, every day. Let me tell you how it started for me. One day, I was walking to the supermarket. My headphones had died. No music, no podcasts, just silence. So I thought, why not try something new? I began describing what I saw. In English. Okay, that's a yellow bus. The man in the red jacket is walking fast. I need to buy eggs, milk, and maybe some bread? It felt weird at first, but I kept going. Then I started talking about my feelings. I'm kinda tired today. I hope the store isn't crowded. What should I cook tonight? That was the moment something clicked. I didn't need a teacher. I didn't need a classroom. I just needed my thoughts and a decision to use English instead of translating everything from my first language. So here's what I recommend for you. Try this for the next 7 days. I call it Think in English Moments. Pick one daily activity where you'll switch your brain into English, maybe brushing your teeth, or walking your dog, or doing laundry. And during that time, only think in English. Describe, reflect, plan, dream. Don't worry about being perfect. Nobody's listening. There are no mistakes in your mind. You might say, I go supermarket. No, wait. I'm going to the supermarket. And that's good. That's growth. You're catching yourself. You're building fluency in silence. I used to even argue with myself in English. Should I watch another episode? No, you need to sleep. But it's just one more. See? You're laughing because it's true. That's your inner world. And when your inner world is in English, your outer fluency gets stronger. So many learners wait for the perfect time to practice speaking. They think, I need a teacher, or I'll practice when I travel abroad. But the truth? You don't need to travel to an English-speaking country. You don't even need to talk to other people at first. You just need you, your brain, your thoughts, your willingness to speak out loud or in silence. This is how fluency begins. Here's a small challenge for you. Right after this episode ends, I want you to try this. Look around your room. Describe 3 things in English. Say what they are, what color they are, what you like or don't like about them. You could say, this is my blue water bottle. I use it every day. I like it because it keeps my water cold. That's it. Simple, natural, powerful. So if you ever feel alone in your English journey, remember, you are never really alone. Your thoughts are with you. And your thoughts can become English. Let your mind be your classroom. Let your thoughts be your practice. Let English live inside you, one sentence at a time. Chapter 12. Speaking out loud. Even if no one's listening. All right, let's talk about one of the most powerful and most underrated tools you have for fluency. Speaking out loud. To yourself. Yeah, I know. It sounds a little strange at first, right? But let me ask you, when was the last time you spoke English, out loud, without a teacher, without a partner, just you and your voice? Let me guess. It's been a while. But here's the truth. If you're not speaking out loud, you're holding your fluency back. Your mouth and brain need practice, and waiting for the right person to speak with, it slows you down. So what's the solution? Speak to yourself, out loud, every single day. Let me take you back a few years. There was a time I was super shy about my English. I didn't want to speak to anyone. I thought I sounded awkward. I was afraid of making mistakes. But one day, I decided to try something simple. I looked in the mirror and said, "Good morning. How are you today?" I laughed at myself at first. It felt weird. But you know what? That one sentence became 2, then 5, then 10. I started talking about my plans. Today, I need to go to the market. I'll work on my project. I hope it doesn't rain. It became a daily habit, just like brushing my teeth. And slowly, I got used to hearing my voice in English. My sentences got faster. My confidence grew. It wasn't magic. It was practice. Out loud. Every day. Let's make it easy for you. Start with this. Every morning, say 2 sentences out loud. What are you doing today? How do you feel? Example. Today I'm working from home. I feel excited because I have time to relax. That's it. If you want, add more. Talk about your breakfast. Talk about the weather. Talk about your dreams, your goals, your favorite movie. The topic doesn't matter. What matters is this. Your brain gets used to producing English. Your mouth learns the rhythm, and your ears get used to hearing yourself speak clearly. You know what's funny? One time I was walking around my room, talking to myself in English, and my roommate walked in and said, "Who are you talking to?" And I smiled and said, "My future fluent self." We both laughed, but it was true. You're not crazy. You're committed. Fluency doesn't grow in silence. It grows through sound. Your sound. So here's your new challenge. Right after this episode, go to a mirror, look at yourself, and say this. "Hi, my name is your name. I'm learning English. I'm proud of myself." Then add anything you want. What are you doing today? What's something you love? What are you grateful for? It doesn't have to be perfect. Just speak, out loud, with heart, with energy, with pride. You don't need to wait for a class. You don't need a perfect accent. You don't even need a listener. You just need a voice, and you already have one. So use it. Speak your way to fluency, even if no one's listening, because one day, the whole world will. And that's it for today's episode. If this inspired you, even just a little, don't let the moment pass. Take one small action today. Open your notes and write one thought in English. Speak one sentence out loud, even if no one's around. That's how fluency grows. And if you found value here, make sure to follow this podcast. Leave a quick review if you can, and share it with a friend who's also learning English. We're building a community of learners, a space where fluency feels possible and personal. And I'd love for you to be part of it. So tell me, what's the one thing you're going to start doing today to think in English? Let me know in the comments or on our socials. I read every message. Until next time, stay bold, stay consistent, and keep speaking your way to confidence, one thought at a time. Talk to you soon.